denying Jesus, wanting to kill Jesus. They said I was almost so choked up sometimes I could not read the lines. So to explain these passages somehow seems to me a job that's rather trite and rather difficult. But I think we can only start with the Gospel of Mark, who writes these words that we heard read. And we can ask Mark, why did Jesus die? Well, we can answer very clearly, he died because Judas betrayed him, or Peter denied him, or the disciples deserted him. That's all part of the story. And there's always a little irony in this story. We get this only place in the entire scriptures where we hear about the young man who was there in his linen cloth, and they tore the linen cloth off him and he ran away naked. Now my assumption always is that it has to be the gospel writer Mark, because nobody else would seem to know that information. So Mark, who's one of the very younger men who followed Jesus, it certainly might be himself who writes about the confusion of that very moment. Now the religious people at the time of this are people who want to do what? They want to keep the peace. And the secular person, Pilate, what does he want? Keep the peace. They don't want anybody rioting in any manner but would destroy the peace of the area. And in the midst of that peace is Jesus being argued about in their court of justice. He's dying on a cross and being buried. And most of it that you and I can center from this is God's own self-giving love. For God chose to give his life for others. I think as Mark writes us, it's really a drama that can only be explained. It's not a doctrine to be dissected, but it can be heard again and again and again, and it's always new. This morning, as I drove over here, I happened to get on the radio Bach's St. Matthew's Passion. Now I was thinking, at Grayling today, I'm bringing some lesson sheets that we're going to read as a group. If we had lived in Bach's time, he probably would have brought us the music fresh with the ink still wet and dripping and said, we're going to perform the Matthew Passion today. And the singers would have sung their parts, and it would have been glorious. We'd have all been there at St. Thomas Lutheran Church in Leipzig, applauding and clapping and cheering because Bach had performed so greatly. I feel sorry for us. You're stuck with my printed papers. Not much more. Not Bach's great Passion of St. Matthew, but still a rendering that the Lord hears us read these Gospels. You see, we hear it explained again and again. As those lesson sheets are being handed out, I heard someone say very clearly, ooh, I'm glad we're doing this. I liked it when we did it last year. So what we do is that we begin to conform our own lives to the courageous, the winsome, and the faithful identity it discloses. And the identity is without a doubt a God who loves us. In his name.